So we've seen a lot of IPs come and go, especially since I want to say '97, right? What do you think it is about Abe and this Oddworld that has had it withstand the test of time?
I always looked at the nature of the storytelling of having to be relevant. That's where I planned it as a 5-part series that would, see the slave rise from the lowliest position to eventually affect world economies and birth revolution. And time in business and opportunity sort of took us off track from that a little bit in lots of detailed little ways that are just the ups and downs of the business. But to get back to that message and stay true to it and stay relevant, my inspirations were Alexis Huxley and George Orwell and people that were making relevant content, filmmakers that were making films. It's a great experience to watch, but it also contemplates life a little differently. And so that was always important to me as a storyteller. I felt like if we stayed relevant to that, we could resonate with people. And an attempt always to focus on empathetic gameplay over aggressive and nasty gameplay. And I don't have problems with shooters and things like that. I play them too. More power to everyone who makes them. A lot of them are my friends.
There seems to be a lot of those nowadays.
There's a lot. When you walk around the floor of E3, you see a lot of similar. You see a lot of people chasing trends. And the trend we chase is the anti-trend. So we say, well, if everyone's going that way, and if everyone's going multiplayer, and if everyone's doing that, then let's really dig deep down on single player, action adventure story, right? And let's make the story richer, let's make the performances better, let's get it more engaging, let's make every character you feel more responsible for. And if we can really do that, then we create a stronger emotional connection, which has always been an objective of ours. And hopefully we're successful at it, and it's always about comedy too. I mean, it's really black comedy, right? Like you hear everyone cracking up in there in the worst types of circumstances. So we never get gratuitous, but we get hilariously dangerous, I think.
What's it been like in this game industry, seeing evolve and technology become more affordable and tools being more accessible to developers and producers and stuff like that? What's that journey been like?
Well, it's been huge. For instance, when we started Abe's Odyssey in '94, to have 4 CG artists sitting at a station, it was $80,000 a seat. $40,000 for the software, $40,000 for the hardware, right? Today, a $4,000 computer with software smokes what those machines were. So the cost of technology has come down tremendously. We're not building our own engines like we were trying to do in the past, which is just enormously expensive.
Proprietary engines, yeah.
Proprietary engines. Abe's Odyssey, Abe's Exodus was their own engine. Munch was a hybrid. We built a lot of tech on top of an engine, and then Stranger was pure, its own engine. And we decided that's more of a trek than we care to take on our own, investing that much in tools. So what we felt was Unity was an opportunity where we could help improve their software by bringing some different vision to it in terms of game making and AAA game making, and they've been really responsive to it, which is really refreshing. And they actually helped us on New and Tasty as well. We'd say, look, in order to get this fidelity animation, you have to change this in your software, and then we'd be amazed that they would. And so they always seem to have this idea to want to make themselves better, and that really resonated with us because we do things outside the typical box. Like a lot of engines are built to perform very specific types of games. Our game is very unique. There's a lot of features that are not turnkey in any system. And so, all of those things over time, it's helped shape us into the package we are in today, which I think leaves it in kind of a unique space. I say it's kind of like anti-trend. We'd say, well, let's focus on making retro, new and fresh, which is diametrically, seemingly opposed. And not chasing the trends of free-to-play, the premium pay, in-game transactions. Try to keep to that wholesome, you pay this amount of money, you get this game, have fun, milk it for all it's worth,
Well, it's even interesting because in '94 with Oddworld, it was a time where all developers wanted to do was make 3D games because that was the new trend. That was, consoles are out, we need to focus on 3D, no more sprites, no more digitize this. But there were still great games that were being made that developed. That I guess the man was just like, we don't want a 2D game or an isometric game. We want a 3D. We want a 3D game. It's all about 3D. Yeah. And how many bad 3D games did we get out of that generation because of that?
An enormous amount of bad 3D games, And even in then, how depressed my partner was when I said we're doing a 2D game. And she's like, we're 3D experts. We were making 3D films. She did Last Starfighter. And That was a shock to her, but I was like, look, it'll look better if we pre-rendered the sprites. Look at Donkey Kong Country, right?
Yeah,
like they had done something. They showed us it was possible. There was glimpses of it in other games at other times. But image fidelity always meant a lot to us. I always wanted to make you feel like you were in a world that you were capable of exploring, and if you saw something in the distance that was really wonderful, you could get to it, even if it was, in the past, we just did that in clever ways, where you felt like you were going deeper into the world, even though it played in a side-scrolling way. Now we've taken that to, the power of 10, I think. But when you go back and you look at how limited the 3D was at that day, I think it was driving that people thought quality was what was taking advantage of the latest chip.
Right.
I remember when the Xbox came out, they were like, reflections map. We can do reflection maps now, and that's really important. And you guys don't have any reflection maps. I go, because they look like shit. And we're not doing a car racing game where we need windshields to look more realistic. In fact, I'm usually always turning reflection maps off, even in the pre-rendered movies, right? It was just a trend. So I think one of the big things that we're getting past today that's really wonderful is we're getting past the wow effect of here's the latest trick, here's the latest chip, here's the latest rendering feature. I mean, we'll always be on that chase, HDR rendering, which
ray tracing, yeah.
Ray tracing. Those are very exciting, and it's really actually improving the image quality, but it's no longer, I don't think, the selling point of a game, right? The game's got to be great, and that's what I like about what's going on, is it's returning to, okay, we're past, games can look like, you watch your average basketball game, football game, baseball game in a bar, and you're not sure if it's the news covering the game or it's the game play that's happening, right? We've come that far. The uncanny valley is we're almost past it in terms of realism. But when we look at that, we go, okay, so now we're back to content is more important. That's what I feel is happening. I mean, games are so wide now, like, what does it even mean, between 80-year-old women playing solitaire on their phones to, babies playing iPad games. But we're past that trend. There will always be some new technological capability that people are going to want to get a piece of. But I love the idea that we're past, like, who cares what the chip is as long as it's delivering me a better gaming experience? And that's what it's all about for us.